Hey, good morning, Cart. This is going to be a rather long demo. I don't know how long it is yet. Obviously, I'm recording it, but we have probably one of the largest demos that I've done. I think I've done this one other time, and it was like its own series. So we have 6 sabers of yours. We're going to go over the Sabertrio Reaver. We're going to go over this Korbanth Malak. We're going to go over this Saberbay and Warsabers Katarn. All right. We're going to go over 2 halves of your Saberbay and Jimmy's Junk Survivor. So you've got the short end and then you've got the long one with the crossguards. I'm going to go over this one as well. Let's go over the crossguard or the Fallen Order one first. All right, so we'll go over the shorty first. It is a rather short, stubby guy. Per your request, I did drill some holes along the handle here for some sound venting. You also have this hole right here for sound venting, though that doesn't do very much when it's connected to the staff, which I'll show you here in a second. But to get to your chassis, you just want to unscrew the handle. Because the handle is so short, the chassis had to be short as well. And I just printed out a kill key that will work for now. You can, of course, go on the kill key factory, or you could find any aftermarket place that kind of specializes in kill keys, and you can buy anything. This is a standard, what is that, a 2.3 millimeter recharge port. It's a standard switchcraft recharge port. All right, so what you want to do is just pull that out when we power it up. You do have access to your SD card and your micro USB from right here, so you don't have to pull this out. What I did was I made this chassis. I made the tolerances on this to where I could do a press fit into here. I didn't have to screw anything down. It is holding a full 18650. You have 18650s in all of these, whether they're static batteries or they're going to be removable. I'm looking at your Sabers right now. I think you've got 2 static batteries. You've got this one and the Malak that we'll go over here in a second, but they're all 18650s, and the ones that are removable will be keep powers, and the ones that are static that I put in here are also keep power batteries. All right, so this particular one is a 1-button setup, so everything happens from right here. All right, you've got a Carl Chen V4 Neopixel connector in here, and then the same sound font package that you had asked me to put on all of them is what's on here. So what I did was, because the crossguard is the most intense of them all, it has the most blade styles, I made a config for this one and I put them on all of them. So if this has 3 blade styles on it, and I put that config on this one that just has 1 blade style, well, it's just going to pay attention to the main blade. So that's what I did. A copy of the config files will be on every Saber's SD card. No matter what Saber you pick up, there's going to be 2 config files on your SD card. There's called a Cart 1, which is a 1-button setup, and there's a Cart 2, which is a 2-button setup, because like this one is 1 button. What other one? I think this is the only one that this is 1 button as well. All right, so but the other ones are 2. So that's what you got there. To power this on, we'll just pull the kill key.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
We'll put the handle on all the way, fire it up. So this one, of course, being the BMF, so the Mace Windu. 1-button setup, so blaster bolts is just tapping. You've got twist on and twist off, so I thought that went very well with the staff, and I'll tell you why. We're going to put this off to the side and go over the staff, and then we'll put them together. I watched the video from Jimmy's Junk Saber to just see how he did the blades, but I also noticed that in his video, this Saber does have 2 buttons. You've got a front, you got this copper one right here and this copper one right here. In his video, he set them up as the same button and made it a 1-button setup. I opted to go for a 2-button, and that's just what I did because there's 2 switches, so I did a 2-switch setup. All right, so to get to your chassis here, again, unscrew your handle. This is the chassis that I came up with for this guy. They all have carbon fiber chassis in them except for, I believe, the Malak, and I went with a gray PLA Plus. And that's very sturdy material. It's all very sturdy material. All right, but this is what I came up with for this saber. So you've got a prophy right there, access to everything right here. You don't have to lift up the board. You've got a kill switch right here, right in front of the board. You've got a removable battery setup, so always spring side for your negative. There's a 20 pixel accent strip right here underneath some diffusion. And there's another 20 pixel accent strip right here. All right, and then this also has a 28 millimeter Smoker's Outpost Elite speaker, same as the other side. All right. What do we got here? The blades. The blades were tricky. Not so much tricky to wire them up. I think the most difficulty I had with these blades was putting the actual foam on the LED strips. That was pretty difficult. The foam is small. It's something that was, it was needed for these blades. It was just very tricky to do, and that was the most time-consuming endeavor for installing these. But you can fold these out at your will, right? Or you can fold them in. Doesn't matter. If you wanted to take these blades out, you could do that from there. There is a grub screw right here on both of them. So one right here and one right here. You would loosen those up, and when you did, you could pull these right out. And these are keyed in, so they only go in a certain way, so they make contact and light up. All right, but I'm going to leave them in for the sake of this demo. They will all have the Carl Chen V4 Neopixel connectors. That is just something that I like to use. And then let's throw a battery in this guy. All right. Battery clips in just like that. Come over here and flip our power. All right, so you've got those LEDs going, these LEDs going. These are wired together, so they act the same. Your blade is on a separate blade style. Your quillions are wired together, but they're on a separate blade style. And then you have these accent LEDs in your chassis, which are wired together, but they're on a separate blade style. So 3 blade styles per font on this guy. When you have this open and you just want to hit power, the power switch is on the same side as your battery. All right. And now these act a little bit different when the saber's on. Your main blade's lit up, and then of course your quillions, and you can fold these quillions down, and they're all lit up at any time you want to do that. And then your auxiliary switch, of course, is on the same side as your blade. Same side as your board, rather. Twist on. Twist off. We'll fold these up. We will put the handle on. Where did we put it? Screw the handle right on. This has a really nice quick release coupler designed by Jimmy's Junk. So you want to take this piece right here and kind of like push it down. All right. If you can see that on the video, it's kind of going down. It's on a spring-loaded system. So you take this guy, push it down, click it in, and it all locks together. And this turns, so you could clock this emitter and this emitter however you like, and then turn on. So you got that side lit up, you got this side lit up, and they act in unison. Let me get this one to the BMF font.
Balin Skull. Bust the window!
There we go. So now they're on the same font. So you got purple over here, and you got purple over here. So again, and it sounds really good. Hard to swing around, but hopefully you get the idea. This is one beast of a saber when it's all put together. All right, so we'll fold these in. When you want to take it apart, just pull the coupler back down. Oh, the coupler's on the big handle. Pull it down and pull it off. All right. We'll go ahead and take the handle off this guy. Before we do, let me show you that they each light a blade up. Sorry about that. I'm just going to hold a blade in and show you that they fire up. All right, I won't lock it down. But these hold 1-inch diameter blades. So it lights a blade very nicely. We twist off. So that's the crossguard, of course. And then you've got your little guy here. That also lights a blade very nice with twist off action there. So since we got this in my hand, let me just go ahead and take the handle off this guy. I'll turn it on. And then just simply put the kill key in the recharge port, and it kills power. All right, so I'll put the handle on this guy and put it off to the side. We'll take the handle off the crossguard. You can still see your chassis going. We'll hit power. We'll just twist it, right? And then come over here and flip the switch. And that kills power. And when you want to take this battery out, do it from right here by the speaker. You should be able to pop it out with your finger. All right, so that is the crossguard side. And that is the demo for the staff. All right, so I'm going to put this off to the side. In no particular order, I've just got this one closest to me. Let's go over the Katarn. Very cool saber. The internals, though, here, let's line this up. I'm going to teach you how to line this up here in a second, but that's all right. We'll go over it in a second. Very cool saber. Not enough for not very much room on the inside. There's enough room. There's just not very much room. All right, 2 buttons set up. So power, auxiliary, your lit Neopixel connectors in here. All right. 2 different ways that you can take this handle off. You can take it off past this coupler right here, or you can take it off with the coupler. All right, so if you want to do it past the coupler, it's a little tight. You can just take it off like this. Why you would want to do this is because it just exposes the battery compartment. All right, so you left the coupler on here. You just expose the battery compartment. You can put your battery in and out. That's fine. If you ever want to get to your board, though, you're going to want to take this coupler off. All right, so we'll take the coupler off real quick, and I'll show you. When you unscrew the coupler, that gives you access to your Profi board. So you can get your SD card out with a pair of tweezers. That's how I did it, and I left just enough room in there with a 90-degree data cable to get to your USB. But if you never want to get to your board or make any changes because I put your fonts on here, you can just go ahead and you can leave this coupler in. This is one of those internals where there wasn't a whole lot of room for blinkies or designs on the chassis or anything like that. You just kind of get in here, you make everything fit. It holds a battery. It's got a speaker pod that I'll show you here in a second. So you got your stock pogo pins there if we can focus. And even though it's only a 7/8 inch chassis, I was still able to hide your wiring, which is something that's super important to me. I don't like to have wires showing. So everything is just nice and clean. Coming over to the handle, because it is a 7/8 inch handle, this is a 7/8 inch blade right here, and it barely fits into the handle, right? So I'll put that off to the side here. Because it's like that, it would take a small speaker if you didn't use the pommel, but I wanted you to have a large 28mm speaker. So we're going to take the pommel off. That slides right out, and this is your speaker pod. This has a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost Elite speaker. You got your speaker PCB right there, and that's what that looks like. All right, so when we have that off, we can take our battery, spring side, put our battery in. I do suggest taking the stickers off your batteries if you buy new ones. So we've got our battery in. We're not going to hear any sound. We can go ahead and come over here. We'll put our handle on first. And the reason we do that first is because you have to tighten this handle down quite a bit to get the clocking correct. You got to make sure that the middle coupler is locked in tight, and then you can put your handle on tight. And when you do that, you can make some fine-tune adjustments, and you can get this shroud aligned with this shroud up here, so everything is in line. All right. When you've done that, you can come over here and you can take your speaker pod and you can put it in however you like. It slides right in because this part is 7/8 inch. It goes in there and it meets those speaker connectors. If you can see them in there, it just slides right in there. And then you take your pommel and screw it in right over the speaker. Then you can lock your speaker down, hit power. Auxiliary back here. We'll go to another one.
Obi-Wan.
Auxiliary in the back. You'll find a grub screw right here, 180 degrees from your switches. That is your chassis retention. All right, we'll go ahead and put a blade in this guy too and just hold it in real quick and show you that it also lights up a blade. I need to back up that blade retention screw. All right, so if we put a 1-inch diameter blade in here and I powered it up, lights up a blade very nice.
Let's see what this saber can do.
Balin Skull.
All right, so we'll go ahead and take that off. I do suggest keeping the pommel a little bit loose and the speaker pod loose while you put the main handle on, because you do have to crank down on the handle a little bit to get the shrouds to align. But when you get that all nice and tight and aligned, come back over here and tighten up your pommel. All right, and then that just helps. All right, you don't want to put any undue stress on the speaker pins. We'll go ahead and take this out here. When you want to take your battery out, do it from up here. You can pop it out with your finger. So that's a pretty straightforward setup. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Screw this back on and put it off to the side. Just like that. All right, we'll put this off to the side. The next one I have next to me is the Sabertrio Reaver. So I believe that I took the factory install out of this and I put in a completely removable chassis system for you. So it's still a 2-button setup. Your red switch will be your power. This little tactile switch back here will be your auxiliary switch. I did swap you over to the Carl Chen B4s because you just had a regular 7-pin connector in there before. And the only place this saber opens is right here from the pommel. All right. I'm going to take this out off without dropping it. Be careful when you take this off because your chassis will just come right out. All right. And this is what I came up with for your chassis. Opted not to go with any blinkies on this one because it's inside the hilt. Every time you turn on, you wouldn't see anything. But just went with some designs to give you something that didn't look boring, but you know, just no blinkies in this one. Still got your Profi board there. Access to everything right here, which is pretty consistent throughout all of the chassis that I do. Kill switch right in front of the board here. A removable battery. This has a fully enclosed 28mm SO speaker. And then I'm also using the SO 14-pin PCB system to make this removable. All right, so we'll throw a battery in this guy too. Come over here and flip our switch.
I will take what Jedi we have left and go to Geonosis and help Obi-Wan.
You can put this in the saber however you like. Just take it and throw it in. All right? And then come over here and screw down your pommel. When you get this pommel all the way tight, that chassis makes connection with the pins that are inside and you can hit power. I will tell you now, this is the loudest saber out of the bunch. The sound venting on a Sabertrio is pretty renowned anyway for being loud. But now this thing is screaming. Auxiliary. Got your LEDs firing up. And then let's throw a blade in here. Also a 1-inch diameter blade for this guy.
The Emperor's Hand.
All right, so when you're done with this guy, go ahead and take your pommel off. Slide your chassis out like that. You can either just flip the kill switch, which I'll show you. Flip it here to kill it, or if you want to take your battery out, do it from the speaker side and just pop it out with your finger. All right, and that is your Sabertrio Reaver. We'll put that in there. Screw the pommel back on, and I'll put this off to the side for now. All right, let's go over now. We've got 2 left. Let's go over your Korbanth Malak. This was a reinstall for you. So I took everything out. I did reuse the board. I think that was, and the battery, because it has a static battery. That was the only thing that I reused. Put a brand new Neopixel connector in there for you. This is still a 2-button setup, so your dome switch is right here. All right, power is in the front, auxiliary is in the back. One thing that is pretty unique about this one is I've installed this Saber a few times, so I had a chassis design already for it, printed it out. Typically on this Saber, this piece will come off. This middle piece right here, it's meant to come off. It's its own speaker pod, or I've got a speaker pod that fit inside of it. On this particular one though, this did not want to come off. I felt like it was almost glued in and I didn't want to force it. So you unscrew it from here, all right? Unscrew this. This has a little bit of a spacer on it because I had to approach it a little bit differently. But when you go like this, take it in your hand, go like this a few times, your speaker pod will poke out, you can pull it right out. So originally, this speaker pod was meant to fit inside of this guy just so, and you would take all of this back piece off as one, but because yours didn't, the speaker pod comes out, it's separately, and when you reach in there, you can see now, same setup though, you've got your 1.3 millimeter recharge port, you've got a kill switch, and you've got your board. I did reuse your kill switch, all right, because there was nothing wrong with that. But I'm gonna get a pair of tweezers. You're gonna need a pair of tweezers or something to get in here and flip the kill switch on. When you flip it up, it's on. When I hit power, you can see that it lights up, but we don't have any sound, right? So we're gonna come over here, throw our speaker pod in. Now this is the only Saber where I left all of your sound fonts on that you had already, because I looked at the SD card, you had a significant amount of fonts on the SD card that were different from the rest. So the rest have the fonts that you gave me. This has like the 20 font or so package that was on it. I just left it on there. All right. But when you screw this all the way on and lock it down, you can hit power. So now you've got the same, obviously, package you had on here before. Should be good to go. Auxiliary back here. You've got twist off. Let's throw a blade in here real quick. As you know, to put a blade in, what you'll want to do is come over here and take the main shroud off. Pull that off. That exposes your blade retention screw right here. I need to back that up a little bit. All right. This takes a 1-inch diameter blade. We're lighting up a blade good on this guy too.
My life is yours.
So to either turn this off, you can hold down the power for 1 second, or you can twist off. So this time I'll just twist it. All right. Before you put the shroud back on there, on here, you want to make sure that that blade retention screw is inside of that inside of this diameter, so it doesn't get caught up on the shroud piece. So we'll take our shroud piece, screw it on. When we want to turn this off, we'll come over here and unscrew this guy. Take out our speaker. All right. And then I'll turn it on from here. And then I'll flip off the kill switch from back here, and it kills power. All right, and that is your Malik. So we'll go ahead and we'll put that off to the side. And we've got one more. All right, so we'll screw that down, put this off to the side. This is your Balin Skull. So this is from Korbanth and Shadowfoil Props. 1-button setup, so your one switch is going to be right here, this red switch. I did go through and lightly weather this up that as you requested. All right. You've got that Carl Chen B4 in there, and then to get to your chassis here, you just want to unscrew this handle. The pommel on this guy is a bit of a beast. I don't know if that's steel or if it's just like a solid chunk of aluminum, but it's pretty hefty back here. This one, I wanted to give you a little something different because we had a lot of room to play. So I gave you an OLED screen over here. All right, I gave you, of course, a Prophy up here with access to everything. Kill switch in front of the board. I do try to keep the same theme no matter what Saber I'm installing. There's going to be a board shelf. There's going to be access to everything and not having to move the board. There's going to be a kill switch right in front of the board. You've got a removable battery setup right here. And then you've also got a 20 pixel accent strip over here underneath some diffused material. And a 28mm Smuggler's Outpost speaker. All right, so we'll put a battery in this guy too. Come over here and flip our switch.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
Show you the or the OLED screen first. Has got your battery meter. These will match your blade for now. This is of course lighting up. And you can, of course, program these to do whatever you like, and you can put whatever animations on the OLED that you like. All right. So, slide this down. Put this on here. Lock this all the way down, hit power. And this sounds pretty beefy with a handle on it as well. Blaster bow's just tapping. To change sound fonts on this, what you want to do is a long press on the power when the Saber's off.
My name is Dagon Gera.
We'll go through a few.
The Emperor's Hand.
When you want to turn it on, just tap it. Right? If you want blade lock up, you can hold this button down and hit the Saber. Blade lock up, twist it off. They all have their own soundtracks on them, which I failed to show you up until now. I just forgot. But if you want to play them on a 2-button setup, you do a long press on the power when the Saber's off. If you want to do it on a 1-button setup, you do a quick double tap. And then do a quick double tap to turn it off. And we'll show you here that this lights up a blade as well. 1 inch diameter blade for this guy too. Twist on and twist off. All right, so that is your Balin Skull. And of course, when we're done, we'll do the same as we did for the others. We'll take the handle off. I'll turn this on. And then I'll flip it off from right here. And it cuts power, and you should be able to get your battery out pretty easy from right here. Just pop it out with your finger. All right. And that is your Balin Skull, and in fact, all 6 of your Sabers. Let me know if you have any questions, and if everything looks good to you, I will package this up and get it out in the mail to you today. I really appreciate all of your business and trusting me with sending me all of these Sabers at the same time. That's a lot of money to send my way. And then we squared up as I got each one done. So you trusted that each one of these was done per your standards, and you paid me for each one up until I got the 6th one done. So really appreciate all the trust. All right. Thanks, man.